Now, I got a fax tonight that you've got to hear. This is incredible. Maybe somebody out there can help out with this. Dear Art, I'm writing to you to see if I can get some help from you or your vast listening audience. I live in rural eastern Washington near the Manastash Ridge. That's Manastash, Manastash Ridge. On our property, there is a hole. Like the previous owners and the owners before them, we have been throwing our trash into the hole. Apparently, the hole has been there as long as anybody can remember. At first, I thought it was an ancient well. Anyway, the hole is 9 feet, 9 inches in diameter. There is a stone retaining wall around it, and we've put a steel door on top to keep anybody from falling into it. As I said earlier, people have been throwing their trash into the well, that's in quotes, for decades. Furniture, household trash, dead cows, building debris, you name it. The thing is that I noticed that the hole never filled up. So I got curious, actually obsessed. I began trying to measure the depth of the hole. So I emptied 3 fishing reels of about 1,500 yards of monofilament, trying to determine the depth. Soon, I was buying fishing line in bulk. So far, I've sunk about 80,000 feet of line into the hole without reaching bottom. My wife that's 80,000 feet, folks. My wife works at a local university with a geology department. We hope to get some professional scholarly help in determining the depth of the hole. As far as I can tell, there's nothing else particularly strange about the hole except for 2 other things. 1, dogs refuse to get within about 100 feet of it. Birds will not sit on the retaining wall or metal door. Another strange thing is there's no echo when you yell into it. None. Indeed, I've never heard anything hit bottom when tossed in. We once tossed in an old refrigerator and never heard it hit bottom. No crash, no splash, no crunch. I hope your listeners can help with possible explanations. I'm wondering if this, based on my measurements so far, is the deepest hole on Earth. Signed, Mel, and I've got his last name here. Thank you, Art Bell, and listeners. And I thought you would enjoy hearing about that. I sure did. Now to Eastern Washington. I guess this is Eastern Washington. Mel, are you there?
Yes, I am.
First of all, Mel, thank you for answering. What are you doing up at this time of the morning?
Well, after I sent the fax, I'm living in town here now because we had a couple of our buildings out there cave in after the big snows that we had out here last month.
Oh, yes.
And so thereby goes some of the construction debris into the hole. So,
all right. When did you discover this hole?
Well, the hole has always been there. We've been out there for a couple of years now, and the hole has been there since we've been there. It's been there since the previous owner was there, and the previous owner there was quite elderly, and I'd say he was there for a good 30, 40 years before we moved in.
Wow.
And then
and so there's been a thing of throwing stuff down this hole for a long time.
It's been going on, for as long as the hole has been there, I assume.
When nobody knows that, I guess. All right. How do you pronounce the name of your town, Manastash?
Manastash.
Manastash.
Right.
That's
yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Actually, I'm in right now. I'm in a little town called Ellensburg.
Oh, I know Ellensburg. All right.
You must know about a rodeo here, then.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Well, so we've been there for several years, and we just take all of our trash, rubbish, anything we have that we have to get rid of. We take it, throw it in the hole. Everyone's throwing their stuff in the hole. The people from around there throw all the stuff in the hole. I mean, it's just been going on for a long time. Well, I got to thinking one day, how come this hole is not filling up? It must be an awfully deep hole.
That's a good thing to consider, sure, as you throw stuff in it for decades, literally.
And so, I used to be well, I would say pretty close to a professional shark fisherman. So I had a couple of huge fishing reels, went out there and started letting the line down. I figure after one...
Did you weight the line?
Oh, yeah. There's, in fact, the original line is still down there. I've just been adding to the line and keeping track of how much line I have used. So I've not reeled it in.
How much weight is on it?
There's a 1 pound weight at the bottom of it.
1 pound weight, all right.
1 pound weight. It's a triangular 1 pound weight.
Okay.
And so that's at the bottom of it at first.
So in other words, it would go down kind of like a plumb bob.
Exactly. In fact, I have it rigged across the center of it there, and it goes straight down from the center there. And occasionally I try to move the line there, but when you're moving that much line, you really can't do a whole lot with it. But it seems to, there seems to be, it's not resting against anything at this point here, and it continues to go down freely. And so when I was out there earlier, I'd let out a little bit more line. And
so you actually went out there tonight after I read this?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
Well, it's not too bad out here right now. It's only about 25 degrees, so it's not too cold.
Have you ever heard anything coming from any sounds or anything?
Well, the normal thing to do is kind of like yell into it there, to see an echo, and I've never heard an echo come out of that thing.
No echo.
At all. That's one of the first things I noticed about it. As usual, I brought the dogs with me. They wouldn't go anywhere near the damn thing, and I went back to the Suburban and hung out over there, so it was kind of... if I try to bring them there on a leash, they'll just dig their feet in. They do not want to go anywhere near the hole. And so that's, I don't know. It's just...
Well, you've got miles and miles of...
Yeah, I think... I'm measuring it by feet. I convert feet to yards, so I don't know
Sure.
how many miles that is. I assume it's a fair number of miles, though.
Well, 5,280 feet is a mile, so you've got. You really think you've got 80,000?
Yes, yeah. I get line in 5,000 yard spools, and so I've gone through that many.
Well, you have got a hole then that goes. Well, you can't say to the center of the earth, but you've got a hole that goes miles and miles and miles into the earth. I would think a university would be out there, boom, just like that.
Well, my wife does work for a local university here, and we've been talking to them about it. And one of the things is they find it quite incredible that I've let that much line into the ground, but that's what I've been doing.
Have you ever thought of winding it all back up again?
Well, when I let out the first 1,500 yards of line, I reeled all of that back in.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know if I had hit water down there, because I thought that's a lot of feet.
You bet.
That's 4,500 feet of line. Did I hit water? So I did. What I did is I sent down a roll of lifesavers.
Lifesavers?
Yeah. So when it hits the water, the lifesavers will dissolve.
That's true. Oh, I see. So very smart. So
yeah, it's an old shark fisherman's trick. There, we used to send our bait out on a balloon attached to a roll of lifesavers, and the bait would go out into the ocean on the tide.
Yeah.
And then eventually the lifesavers would melt, and the bait would fall to the bottom. You couldn't cast a big old mackerel out there that far. So
that's amazing. So, what do you got any guesses?
I don't. I have no idea. I thought it could have been a mine shaft, but the thing about it is the surface part of it's been very well cared for. I mean, someone built a very lovely wall around it. And
all right, tell me about the nature of the side of the walls. In other words, you must be able to look down far enough, at least, to examine the side of the walls.
Sure, it's stone for about 15 feet down.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's soil, dirt, and then further down rock. So, but I can only see to the extent of really powerful flashlight. I brought halogen lights out there to try to get a better look down there, but the visibility really isn't there. You cannot see much after a while. But it's it's a retaining wall. I'd say it's about a 3.5 foot retaining wall, and it goes down about 15 feet, and then it's...
Well, I'll tell you this much. No matter how powerful a light, and I was even thinking about a laser, when you're talking about 80,000 feet, forget it.
Well, they should have some technology that can give me an idea of how deep this thing is. I mean, obviously, the old fishing line method is only going to go so far.
What we need here is a volunteer. I'm serious. Somebody who would be willing to be lowered into this hole.
Well, I don't. To be honest with you, I don't even know if there's any air down that far. I mean,
I wouldn't know about that either.
Or what kind of pressures we're dealing with. These are things that are totally beyond my grasp in terms of knowledge about these things. But
do you own this property?
It's our property, yeah.
How long have you been working on this?
Well, we've been out there for a couple of years. I said about 4 years now. But this project here with letting down the line, that's only been since last summer here, and it was just I said, well, how come this thing isn't filling up?
Well, sure.
And I talked to the neighbors around there, which are on when you're out there in the country, your neighbors are pretty far away, but they all know the hole out there.
They all know about it, so it's
because they all bring their trash out there.
So the local legend of the hole.
Yeah, this could be an apocryphal story, but one guy claims that he threw his departed canine down into the hole.
Oh, really?
And he swears. Well, the story is the guy that did it swears the dog actually came back to him, and he was
really.
A hunter. He was a hunt. The story is that he was a hunter, and he was out there hunting, and he saw the same dog. He had the same collar. He had the same little little metal thing on his collar there, and he said it was the same dog. And he says he knew he threw the dog into the hole. But that's not my dog. That's not my.
It's not your story, but it's a story of a resurrected dog.
Yeah. This is as you can well imagine, this is all Native American land around here, and so one of the lines of inquiries I'd like to make is is there anything about this hole in regards to the Native Americans? That's something I haven't really pursued right now. But
if you had a fatal disease, Mel,
yeah,
would you jump in the hole?
I would.
You would? Just based on the dog story?
It is in my will.
What?
Should I meet my demise,
that you would be thrown in the hole?
Disposed of into the well.
I'm not sure the health department would allow that.
Well, one of the things that I thought about later on is, what if this is like contaminating our water, And we've had, I'm sure you do this out there in Pahrump too.
Well,
you have your water checked all the time.
Well, yeah, no personal offense to you, Mel, but if there was a possible contamination problem, I'm sure you're a clean guy.
Yeah.
But as you deteriorated, you would possibly produce E. coli or something horrible in the local water supply.
Well, again, so far it hasn't.
If you weren't resurrected.
I mean, the water around that area is absolutely pure water. It is,
And so nothing thrown down, all the old junk and trash, and nothing has polluted the water.
No, I can't speak for everything that's been thrown down there, but none of that has been showing up in the water that people draw from their wells. I mean, the water's as clean as it's ever been out there. I think we get water that comes off the Cascades or something.
Yeah.
It's just really great. It's really wonderful water.
Mel, you wouldn't be pulling my leg.
No, I'm not. And I'm one of the reasons that I went out to the property tonight, other than it just it's something that weighs heavily on my mind. I was afraid that after I sent the fax out, that there would be people around there because it's...
Well, there may be, but we have not identified specifically where it is.
Well, there aren't, as far as I could tell, too many big holes like that around, and so at least the people in my neck of the woods are familiar with it, and I kind of almost expected to see a small party of people.
Well, there may be. Now, I mean, come daylight, there may
Yeah.
be. But remember, folks, this is private property. This is Mel's hole.
It is posted too.
Oh, it is. All right. Well, there you are.
are.
So without knowing exactly where it is, I wouldn't look for that to occur, but there is going to be substantial curiosity about it now, Mel.
Well, I think I've let you know as much as I know about it. I certainly want to find out more. I'm mostly curious. I was mostly curious about the depth of it. I mean, how deep is the deepest hole anyone has ever found?
Well, I've never heard of anything deeper than this.
I thought maybe this would be like Guinness World Book of Records type hole here. And as far as things I thought it would be like, could have been like an old mine.
Well, now here's a couple things to think about. I've heard as you go down into the earth, Mel, that it gets hotter.
Ooh.
Right? So
Yes.
you would think that your fishing line with a weight on it at some point would melt or something, but there's still weight on it, huh?
Yeah.
That's
The line
amazing.
is not moving freely. I mean, it still falls under its own weight.
Oh, that's amazing. Let's let some of the audience ask you questions.
Okay, I think I can do that.
Well, here's somebody from Las Vegas, Mike, listening to KXNT, who suggests that we throw a cat down the hole. Listen to the cat scream as it goes down. It's a horrible idea. I don't know about people who do that, throw down a cat. Oh, man. And you hear the echoes sort of going down. I'm not for that at all. All right, Mel, here comes some more people. First-time caller line, you're on the air with Mel with the hole.
Art, why don't you have somebody, I know you're connected with somebody that's got radar available. Radar would be the way to go to find out the depth.
Well, would radar go down a hole
Absolutely.
without hitting the
And
sides?
You don't need a fancy radar to do it.
You mean like a... What about sonar? No, I guess
No,
that's...
sonar you couldn't use because you don't have anything for the medium to go through, like underwater for sonar.
Yeah.
But radar would definitely work.
In other
I was
words,
just curious if he'd call a government agency to come out.
but wouldn't radar return a hit from the sides of the hole and bounce around down there?
No.
No?
Purely directional radar. What do you use when you're driving down the highway?
Well, you use radar, but
Exactly.
that's out in the open. That's not in. I don't know enough about radar to know if that would work, but it's a good idea.
Well, I've used it for years, but
All
that's
right.
the way to try it.
All right, that's. I want. How about a cop's radar?
I'm not sure if they'll return an echo off of that. Possible.
All right. Well,
It would tell you how fast the hole was going, wouldn't it?
yeah. Tell you how fast. Cute Mel.
When I was out there this evening, it's kind of a sort of a full moon out there, and one of the things that occurred to me is maybe this has some sort of astronomical type thing.
What do you mean, Mel?
Well, it's like how the various pyramids and things in Egypt, are supposed to be lined up on various star systems or whatever.
Well, was it a thing like where the moonlight was shining into the hole?
Well, no, but I just happened to notice the full moon, and all of a sudden it just sort of put two and two together there.
You've never felt drawn to the hole personally, have you? I mean, in terms of,
you mean in terms of some sort of spiritual involvement, or
no suicide? No suicide.
No. I mean, I keep the lid on it there because it's an attractive nuisance. You wouldn't want local kids there climbing on the wall and falling in.
There's actually no way of knowing whether people have gone in. Because they'd be gone.
Not in my
down with a refrigerator.
Again, if I can find out something from the local Native Americans on maybe with some sort of burial thing, or I mean,
and you can drop a big rock and you can hear it going down, probably bouncing off the walls or something, but you never hear a splash.
You never hear a splash. I've even taken like old television tubes, the picture tubes, and
you've dropped picture tubes down there?
Yeah, I've dropped. I hate to say this here, but I've dropped more than one of them down there, and I've never heard it implode or anything. Nothing.
EPA You probably shouldn't say that on the air.
Well,
They'll come and get you for that. I mean, TV tubes.
well, it is my.
It's your own property, I know, but
Yeah.
these days, Mel, doesn't make any difference. I mean, tomorrow morning you're liable to wake up and there'll be tanks in Boutros Ghali will be there.
That's true.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Art, this is Thomas in Mesa, Arizona, 550 KFYI.
Hello.
Well, I've been trying to monitor your program for the Mel Waters' Marvelous Magical Mystery Holes.
Yes.
Interesting topic, and I wonder if they haven't had a formal volunteer. I'd like to volunteer myself instead of the poor cat to be lowered down the hole.
Oh, the cat down the hole.
No, don't pick on the poor cat, because we always have the advantage of putting poor Kitty in a carrier, right?
Why, sir, would you volunteer to be lowered into an apparently endless hole with weird properties? Now, come on.
What more noble a donation I can make for my life than to advance the cause of knowledge of my species?
Well, what if you just don't ever come back?
Then I'll be in the history books.
And that's
I'll be one of your missing entities,
and
maybe a shadow person myself.
That would be satisfying enough for you. In other words, how old are you now?
I'm 38.
38. Not even to your prime yet.
Well,
and you would be willing to disappear down a hole so that you could have a legacy as someone who disappeared down a hole.
It would certainly be an adventure now, wouldn't it? Like Alice in Wonderland.
Maybe. All right, sir. You're crazy, but I appreciate your call.
Of course I am.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Why would anybody volunteer to do that? I mean, really. He can't be serious.
I came up here and I decided, what the heck, I'll bring the audience up to date here. I kind of left people dangling there at the end of...
Yeah, I got a lot of, hey, I'm dangling here. What's the story on Mel's Hole? Now...
after the program, all hell had broken loose. And, I was going back to the hole. I actually wasn't living... When I had talked to you originally, I was not living on the property. We had just had a really major snowstorm, like 2 feet of snow in 24 hours, and most of my trailer buildings and stuff were all caved in on the property. So it was a real mess out there. Anyway, I'd taken an apartment in town, and so it was the next day or whatever. I go back there, and I'm driving up to my property, and even before I get anywhere near the property, I'm met by basically uniformed people who are telling me that there was a plane crash on my property, they have to investigate and clear the accident, and that I'm not to, they will let me know when I can come back.
Now, bear in mind, everybody, this was immediately after our broadcast.
Yeah. This is almost...
Nobody knew about the hole until the broadcast. Immediately after the broadcast, next day he goes back and they're giving him this plane crash trash.
And I said, I'm no dummy. I'm looking around. I don't see any smoke. I don't smell any smoke, and I didn't see any evidence of what would be a plane crash. So I'm pretty much believing they're handing me a bill of goods.
Right.
And I said, look, this is my property. I want to get onto it.
Mm.
And basically, there were some threats made against me that. I was being told that it would be fairly easy for people to find a drug lab on my property there.
Okay, so it's not like you had a meth lab up there or anything.
Yeah, that's what they were implying. There was
it was herbal stuff. All right. So they scare you the hell away. Then how did you come to make a deal with the government? How did that happen?
I have a hard time figuring out what led around here. But basically, I wasn't going to back off. I was basically talking to the press. You are the press, Art Mel. And so what they did is offered to lease my property from me in perpetuity for a very healthy sum of money. And I'm talking like $250,000 a month to have use of the property. Yeah, that's $3 million a year.
That's a lot of money.
And, I had agreed for them to let me relocate in Australia, a place that I love and actually wish I can go back to, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, you did, in fact, go to Australia because I had a couple of emails from you when you were there.
I would contact you from time to time there just to let you know I was okay.
And you were in Australia. Oh, I know that's true. So you had taken the money, and I figured you were probably... sipping martinis in some nice Aussie outback location with lots of nice young
very
Australian, yes, and just having a nice life.
Combing my beard and all that stuff.
So what the hell happened?
Well, and then I I was doing well. I did a lot of good work over there. One of the things that I was allowed to do was to bring some of my plants with me. And,
they sent you. Did they send you the money?
Oh yeah, it appeared regularly in my account. I got the money, Johnny, on the spot. It was great. They allowed me to bring my dogs with me, which I don't know if you know about transporting dogs across the seas, but you normally can't bring dogs.
I know. Well, without quarantine for a long period of time.
They were not in quarantine. They just said, hey.
So they got you right past that.
They got me right through that. I got the red carpet treatment.
You were the king of the hole, no doubt about it.
That was it. I was living good. I was happy, and basically, doing fine, doing my work out there. Did a lot of work out there on wombat rescue and wombat restoration. There it was great.
How many $250,000 payments did they actually come through with?
Well, I was there from. I haven't tallied it up there, but I was basically there from March of '97 until right before the millennium. I mean, the year 2000. They
paid you, Mel, a lot of money. I mean, there were several payments of $250,000, right?
Oh, yeah. Just nice as every month it was.
Well,
there.
What the hell happened to all the money?
In 1999, in December, I'd come back, and I actually contacted you to appear on the air.
Uh-huh.
I was in the USA, and I thought we'd just kind of...
Exactly.
Actually, it would have been a boring interview. It would have just been, how life was good in Australia and how wonderful things were. And
yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. But everybody would know, hey, Mel's alive, he's doing okay. Basically, at that point, I was helping my nephew move from Tacoma to Olympia, and I would during the day before the interview.
Right.
And we moved him down there in a U-Haul truck, and I was driving the truck back, and I was going to take the bus back to Olympia. There was some strangeness that occurred on the bus. There was an altercation. There were, from what appeared to me, there were policemen and transit people that came over there. I was asked to give my statement. I said, no, I got to get back to Olympia, blah, blah, blah. I can't miss the last bus. They said, that's okay. You could talk to us. We'll drive you back in the van. That was the last thing I remembered, because when I had woke up, it was about 12 days later, and I was in a real seedy part of San Francisco, lying in an alley. These winos were basically trying to get me to sing on the road again.
Beaten up, as I recall.
I was bad. I had no teeth in the back of my mouth, no molars. They were gone.
A dentist, by the way, has since done some exemplary work for you.
Do you like that? He gave me some state-of-the-art dentures. They are wonderful.
So, I mean, you were abducted. You were beaten up. God knows what happened to you. You found yourself in San Francisco in a disaster. You have come back from that, obviously, but I still want to know, Mel, what the hell happened to all the money?
Well, what happened was that when I had gone back and I was with my nephew, I found out that I had been served with legal papers that said that basically the terms of my divorce with my former wife were basically had been canceled. I had lost my rights because of the various modifications that were made to the property after I was no longer using the property. Basically, septic systems were put in. There was various paving that was done and modifications that basically I was not allowed to do.
Right.
And so I no longer had any claim on that property. And that's basically where I'm left. So,
well, okay. Still, though, Mel, what about all the money you did receive? I mean, did you blow it on wine, women, and song, or what?
Well, again, when you have a lot of money,
yeah.
I mean, you could only eat so much food and drink so much good scotch.
That's right.
That's right. And I devoted a good deal of the money I had, one, for the research I was doing. That was my activity. And two, creating a facility for dealing with our wombat friends in Australia.
Yeah, I know you were very concerned about that. I remember you were writing about wombats.
I am so proud of them. because if you go now,
So your money went to the Wombats, really?
The majority of it, but right after that, then I tried to access my money. My money wasn't there. I had sent emails to my colleagues in Australia. They said my whole facility was dismantled over there.
Oh, my God.
Everyone was given a severance check because I had various students and various people working for me there because, I'm not a veterinarian or anything like that. So, again, you can go through money, quite a bit of money there. And
yes.
I was glad to do it. So there I am, lying in the gutter, no teeth. My, I could still see the tape on my arms where they had taped down an IV or some sort of thing to it. So I was out of it for the longest time. And, I contacted my nephew and he, managed to get me a bus ticket back north.
Brother, talk about going from being a whole baron to absolutely...
Yeah, I had nothing.
Nothing.
I kind of, that's kind of where I left everything when we last talked. I wanted to bring up some things because you probably noticed I was pretty ticked off that they'd stole my belt buckle.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I mean, and amongst working with herbs and stuff, I'm kind of an itinerant jeweler as well, and I make things. And I went back to Ellensburg, and because I'd sold a number of these similar belt buckles at the farmers market and through little consignment jewelry stores in Ellensburg.
Right.
And so, sure enough, when I'm there, I run into a guy who's wearing one of my belt buckles. Now, and they were made with a silver fork, and yeah,
you'd know your own work, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they were very unique, and this was kind of a little folk art thing, and I had.
What is the point, though?
Well, the point is that I kept on thinking, why would they take my belt buckle?
Yeah.
That was the thing. I mean, this was very personal item there that would, I had another belt buckle on my belt. You see what I'm saying? Why take a man's belt buckle?
Makes no sense.
Yeah. So anyway, I run into this guy and I said, "Hey, you bought one of my belt buckles?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I love this thing." Anyway, so we take a look at it and we're looking at it. And basically, the motif on there is I had 3 coins, that I had affixed to it in bezels.
Right.
There was a coin with Winston Churchill.
Right.
On it. There was a coin with Joseph Stalin, and there was a coin dime with Franklin Roosevelt.
Rather distinctive, yes.
Well, this was folk art representing the great conference that they had.
Gotcha.
So we're looking at the coins there, and we're noticing there it is a 1943 Roosevelt dime.
Yeah.
Franklin Roosevelt was still alive in 1943.
That's a good point.
In 19.
You're sure?
Yes, absolutely sure. Absolutely sure. It was a 1943 dime.
Well, that just makes no sense whatsoever.
I found on my property, I'd cleared the land, I found that Nazi sort of gun there. It was a P-38 that I gave to the landlord as a deposit.
I recall, yes.
And we dig up all kinds of things, bits of metal and stuff like that. Well, I found one time I was digging around there and just rooting around, I found one of these red Chinese Lucky Money envelopes, the kind the Chinese give it to each other on New Year's?
Yes.
And it had 10 of these dimes in it. So I got 10 dimes, I'm making, these belt buckles. I put one in each one there. So we're examining this dime here with this fellow in Ellensburg, and it struck us at the same time. I mean, when I told you 1943 Roosevelt dime, you thought, okay, well, it couldn't exist. We had a dime that there's no way it could exist.
Right.
But it looked just like your normal dime, but from 1943. And the only other thing that was kind of peculiar about it was that it had a B as in baby mint mark on it. Now, we have S for San Francisco, P for Philadelphia, D for Denver.
Correct.
But I have no record anywhere of a B as in baby.
Or Boston.
Boston. Could be Boston. I don't know what it was, but I know of no B mint mark on a dime. So anyway, this guy is really curious. He decides to go see a big-time coin dealer about this coin. And he goes in there, and the coin dealer takes a look at it, and he just is like, mouth is hanging open. I'm telling you, I'm relating the story from my buddy.
Okay.
He looks at this thing, and he's just flabbergasted.
But what I don't understand is how all this relates.
Well, it ties into why my belt buckle was taken.
Oh.
Because it had the same coin on there.
Oh. No. Are you fairly sure it was not the same belt buckle?
I had made a series of 10 of them. I made 10 coin. I had 10 of those same coins.
I understand. So now, was this the same belt buckle?
No, it was one that he must have bought.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Would you have any way of knowing if it was the same one?
No. They were very. They were all custom made, so each one is a little bit different.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I would know for a fact that was not the one I wore every day of my life.
All right.
But he took it to a coin dealer, and the coin dealer was just amazed. He had he couldn't even begin to grasp what he was holding in front of him. He started telling him, I don't know, this could be a prototype.
Well, nothing explains it. I mean, time travel. What would explain?
But something created before Roosevelt would have even died. When they created that dime, they went to, they sped up the process to get a Roosevelt dime after he died. But there's nothing that explains it. The guy offered him a huge amount of money, the coin dealer. Said, here, I'm going to write you a very substantial check. You give me the dime. The guy says, let me think about it, okay? I'll give you my number. You give me a call, and I'll let you know what I think. Make a long story short, a day or two later, this guy is visited by Treasury officials there who said they have to confiscate this coin from him for some legal reason or another, so they took the coin away from this.
Should have made the deal the day before.
He should have made the deal. Art, are you familiar with the TerraServer?
Yes, that's...
The satellite imagery?
Yes, you can get satellite imagery of almost any spot on Earth.
Okay, you go to the TerraServer.
Yes.
And you go see the pictures where my property is in the Monastash.
All right, well, why don't you tell us how to do that? In other words, what specific photograph are we looking at? There should be a number or something.
Well, yeah, I don't have that handy, but if you found Ellensburg,
yes,
and you zoomed out, so the picture got smaller,
right,
you will see where my property is, and it's very easy to see where it is.
And in how would we identify it?
Because it has been expunged.
What do you mean?
Those pictures do not appear on the satellite server, the ones taken in June of 2000.
Well, instead, where your property ought to be, what do we see?
2 white squares.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. You go to TerraServer, that's provided by Microsoft. I'm not going to give any URLs.
No, a lot of people know how to do it.
And look up Ellensburg.
Right.
Zoom out.
Right.
So you get and then you will see over where the Monastash Ridge is.
Yes. My
property blanked out. Actually, quite a bit. There's quite a few.
Wow.
So that is, you don't have to go by what I say.
Oh, no. Listen, one of
look
my,
at it yourself.
Trust me when I tell you, one of my listeners, within the hour, I can guarantee will find the exact photograph you're talking about, if it exists.
Yep.
Send me the URL, and or send Keith the URL, and we'll get it up and take a look. And you're claiming
it's not there.
But
it's been expunged.
Well, expunge away they might, but that still would identify the exact location.
Well, it still covers a lot of ground there. But where it is, and I assumed that because this picture was taken in 2000, okay, I believe it was in June or something of 2000.
Right.
That there's been a lot of differences made in that area. And none of these, see, you get a really good picture on a TerraServer.
Oh, well, yeah, pretty good.
You could basically see a car on the road with the TerraServer.
Yeah.
That's from the satellite. So, I mean, you would see a hole. You would see outbuildings.
All right. Let's direct people again. Let's say it again. So listeners who want to go to TerraServer right now and help us out, tell them where to go again.
Look up Ellensburg, Washington.
Then?
And then you just zoom out on the town until you see the the white squares where my property would have been.
And that would be exactly...
on the Monastash Ridge.
All right, there's a good piece of evidence we can go hunting for.
Just go there. But whoever controls the satellite and releasing it to the TerraServer people decided not to let them have these pictures.
Oh, isn't that something?
Okay.
So
I mean, every listener can do this. I mean, I've had, people want to go out there, and the only thing I tell them is don't go there. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen to you. I don't know what people will do to you.
Going to be nothing but grief of one sort or another.
I mean, it's these guys to go to Area 51.
You know that people have made treks to find Mel's hole.
I right now I tell you, look, it's there. Don't go there. You don't have to go there. It's there. But don't go there on my account. I don't want to be responsible for anybody.
All right, now let in view of time here.
Okay, let's move this forward.
Let's. You connected, obviously, because I guess of the plants that you grow, the herbs, and all the rest of it, with Native Americans, right?
Yeah, and all I'm going to tell you about them, I don't want to give the name of the tribe because I don't want a bunch of people running down to me there. These are very poor people. As you know, a lot of the Indians on the reservation are very poor people.
Now, this is in Nevada, right?
In Nevada.
Okay. Here in my state.
And there are tribes up there that...
And so you connected with these Native Americans?
Well, they connected with me. They actually contacted me through email.
Oh.
And said, look, would you be interested in coming down and discussing with us, what you're doing, the research that you're doing? And so I went down there, and this was in early September of last year.
Oh, okay.
So this was actually before 9/11.
Right.
And that's where I ended up at the second hole, is because they took me directly to, not for the hole in particular.
Well, then it's obvious to me that they knew your reputation.
Right.
They knew the whole story of the hole, and the real motivation for inviting you down there, aside from the herbs and the rest of it, was that they had a hole of their own.
Well, the hole itself, and we're going to get into the hole, I guess, deeply, for lack of a better term, but...
now you're guilty.
I'm sorry, Art. But basically, the hole is not on their property.
Okay.
I mean, basically their connection, to get from the reservation or where the Indians are to the hole is they know where it is. But
you're telling me this hole is in my state?
In the state of Nevada.
In the state of, oh my God. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if you looked at the picture of where the Monastash is in Washington, and
right.
Try to find similar pictures in Nevada, you probably find it there too.
We have very similar looking terrain.
It really is. That's why I love. I love the high desert. That's my kind of land. And so I went there, and I got to see the hole. Now,
all right. What's there?
What it is that if walking up to it, and first of all, this is in a fairly pristine area. Okay, so there's like. No real signs of civilization around there. There's no roads leading into it. There's no telephone wires, nothing like that. I mean, we're talking pristine area.
Right.
No signs of, except for their habitation, no signs of habitation.
Gotcha.
Okay, you're walking up to it, and what you see sticking out of the ground is the hole itself is the same dimension as the one in Ellsberg. It's
wow.
Wide.
9 feet in diameter?
9 feet in diameter. This one had a metal collar around it.
A metal collar?
Solid metal collar.
That rose from how?
2 feet high and about 2 feet deep. Metal collar, and it had some notches in it that you could look like, in my estimation, you could mate something with it. To lock it in place. It could possibly have been like a locking collar.
You mean something was, in other words, it looked like something intended to lock to it from above?
Exactly. Something would be lowered onto it and locked into place.
Okay.
But the Basque tell me that this property, or this hole here, has been there for all of their experience, and they have been there since the 1800s. Just the way it is, but the same hole. And
how long have they known of this hole? Do you know?
Well, again, the one fellow I know says he knew this from when he was a young man, and he was well into his late 80s, and so he knew it from probably for the last 70 years.
All right, because of what you did, we know a lot, at least quite a bit about your hole up in near Ellensburg. But
Yes.
this hole, what do we know about this hole other than its diameter?
It's the diameter, and apparently it is lined with that same metal as far as you can see.
You're kidding.
It is solidly lined as far as you can see.
So this is not a natural hole by any stretch.
There's nothing natural about this hole at all. Nothing.
Can you tell what kind of metal it is?
No, but I'll tell you one thing, and it was kind of an accident. But I dropped the box wrench on it.
Right.
You know, on the ledge.
Yes.
Made no noise.
No noise.
Whatsoever. You know, you drop a box wrench on a metal floor.
Clank.
Clank. Nothing. You know, we repeat the experiment. Clank. Nothing. It makes no... You could pound on that thing with a sledgehammer, and it won't make noise. Okay?
Oh, Mel.
And again, from my understanding, they have known about that hole up there. It's it has been known since the 1800s. It has been known exactly the way it is. I can tell you that some of the people that I talked with towards the end of everything on my way back said it was a spiritual site for them up there.
You did perform some experiments on this hole, didn't you?
Okay, let me talk about the first one, and I'm not a scientist. I'm kind of a researcher. But the first thing that we did is we had a whole bunch of Safeway or 7-Eleven bags of ice.
Uh-huh.
You know, the kind that you buy, and we had a couple bags of that. So we had put one in a bucket on the surface, and we lowered another bucket of ice into the hole, 1,500 feet.
1,500 feet?
Yeah, we had access to a nice winch, and about that much. We only had 1,500 feet of line, and that's what we...
What was the idea of lowering ice into it?
Well, first of all, my curiosity is that I wanted to know, was it hot or cold down there?
Okay.
So we basically waited for the ice to melt about halfway on the surface, and we would hoist up the...
I see. So your ice, you had test ice on the surface.
Yeah.
To see how that was melting. Oh, I got you.
Okay. Your garden variety convenience store ice,
right.
That you buy anywhere, and nothing magic about it or anything like
right.
that.
Right.
And so we lowered it down there. We waited for the ice to melt on the surface there, and it got about half melty, So it was sitting in a bowl of in a bucket of water with a few bits of ice floating around. We brought it up, and the ice in the bucket did not melt.
It didn't melt.
It was not melted. But we said, oh, okay, what we'll do here is we take this bucket and we'll stick it on the fire. And we had a little place to cook there. Stick
the bucket with the unmelted ice.
Unmelted ice.
You put on a fire.
We put it on like our cooking fire there.
Okay.
We had a little table and cooking area and stuff over there, and so we put it on there, and the ice catches fire.
What?
The cubes catch fire, and I guess maybe catching fire might be the wrong word. That the ice, we took it off the fire right away. So we set it on the dirt, and the stuff in the bucket was still burning. And again, burning might not be the right thing. It was giving off heat.
Was there flame?
It was not so much a flame as a kind of have you ever used a gas stove?
Sure.
Okay. It was like the barest turning a gas stove on. It was like it was glowing like that last flicker before you turn it off completely. That's what it was like around all the cubes. Dude, one of the Basque, kind of a wise acres, he wanted to lower some marijuana into the hole and see if it would improve its smokability.
So then it would be a pothole, right?
Well, I guess it could be that I hadn't thought of it that way, but he wanted to do that, and one guy wanted to be lowered into the hole himself.
Well, now you see, in the hour preceding your
I heard that.
Oh, did you? Two people who would actually like to be lowered into such a hole. Now, I know that you believed in the powers of the hole in Washington to the degree that in the original agreement, now voided, I suppose, you were to be, upon your death, buried by being dropped into the hole, right?
How I wanted my remains to be dealt with, yes.
Now, that apparently is not going to happen because of subsequent events.
Oh, I've got another place to go now.
Would you really
In
want...
Nevada.
Yes, would you really want to be, I suppose,
When I'm gone.
with some ceremony, dropped into the hole?
Hey, just give me a decent... I don't know what it is when you put someone in a hole. Is that interned or...
I don't know what you'd call that.
I don't know either. But one of these guys wanted to go into, literally, he wanted to be lowered into the hole. He wanted to, be put in a gondola or something and lowered, from the winch into the hole and go down as far as we had line, which again was 1,500 feet. We determined to do, and I'm ashamed to admit it.
Oh?
Is that we decided to lower a sheep.
Really?
To the hole.
Really?
A living sheep.
You did?
Into the hole. We had a crate, the sheep could fit into that we could attach the cables to. And we're going to take the sheep, stick them in the crate, and then lower them down, to the 1,500-foot level, because that's all we had.
Like the ice.
Yeah, that's all we had. We had enough line basically to go that far, and it was stout enough to handle. I'm not no sheep guy, but I could pick up a sheep, so it must weigh about 120, 150 pounds.
So, you decided that you would lower a sheep 1,500 feet down as low as the ice had gone into the hole.
Well, we had decided that we were going to take the sheep and put them in a crate and lower them into the hole. We led the sheep to the hole, and it just started freaking out. I mean, we didn't make...
Like every other animal.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like totally...
Not happy.
It was not happy. And I, I have a lot of respect for animals, and it's amazing what animals really know and what they sense.
Well, you're right about that. And so if it was terrified of...
It was terrified, so the bass got the sheep away from the hole, and again, a lot of what I'm going to say now, I am thoroughly ashamed of, and
that's all right. Just give us the raw truth.
He basically stunned the sheep by knocking it between the eyes. Got into the crate. Got the cable and line hooked up to it, so it was all securely attached. And
right.
Just about when we got to the hole, the sheep just started making horrible noises. So he stunned it, but he didn't kill the sheep, okay? He just knocked it out.
Yeah.
And so it was live when it went in the box, and then it stirred when it got to the hole.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was just making the worst god-awful noises. We were getting it about ready to let it go into the hole.
Yeah.
And
even though it had been hit in the head?
It stirred by the time we got it crated up into the crate. There was enough room for it to lie down, and I guess if it wanted to, it could stand up. I don't know. Again, this is not pleasant to talk about, but we take the sheep, and it's screaming and just the most piercing, horrible, ghastly noises coming out of this crate. Until we get it right over where we're going to let it into the hole, and then everything just stops, dead silent. There's not a sound coming out of that box. There's movement coming out of the box. You can still tell.
But no sound.
There's no sound anymore.
Well, there's something about this hole and sound, isn't there?
I guess we will make that assumption. And so we started winching this sheep down into the hole, and you can feel from the line as we're lowering it, the thing is struggling, fighting. I don't know if it's screaming down there, but we're not hearing this thing screaming. And I think we got about halfway down into the hole, and I was about to say 700 feet, and then the any movement that might have been coming from the crate, we couldn't.
Couldn't feel it anymore.
No, no, we couldn't feel anything. So I don't know at 700 feet or so, about half the line, what happened over there. When we got to at this point here, the original experiment with the ice, we were kind of nonchalant about it. We just kind of lowered down there. Well, with this one here, we were all gathered around the top of the hole there, looking in, seeing what's going on.
Very apprehensive.
This is a serious business here. When we hit the bottom, we felt up there. We felt like a vibration on the collar at a point in time when it was down there, and it's kind of hard to describe.
Well, what do you mean when you hit the bottom?
When we hit the bottom of the rope, the cable line assembly that we had.
You mean when it was all the way played out?
Yeah, when we got there, we felt, and it vibrated, or it felt like a vibration, and sort of like a staticky electricity type kind of feeling. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That we could feel up there.
Yeah.
And so we got it down to 1,500 feet, and we left it there for about a half an hour.
Mm.
And then we decided to bring it back up.
Right. Sure.
So we're hoisting this thing up here, cranking away, getting this thing up on there, and it's kind of a job. So we finally get up to the surface, and we got the box out of there, and the one thing we notice is there isn't any movement in the box. Okay,
no,
there's no box.
Movement.
We get the box there, and but the box from the outside looked pretty normal. It didn't look like some weird transformation had occurred or anything.
Right.
We open up the crate, and the sheep is dead. It looks like a sheep. Okay, it looks like a normal sheep over there, and
it's dead.
It's dead. There's no sign of life. You poke at it. There's nothing going on with this sheep here. He's dead. Well, I'm saying here, but that's a generic he. And I don't know from sheep. Okay, you show me a sheep, I can't tell what it is.
Gotcha. Me either.
Okay, but we take it out of the box, and one of the Basque lays it on the table that we have over there, and he is going to dissect the sheep.
Oh.
Now, on the outside, the sheep looked just fine. That the hair, that the wool, whatever a sheep has, looks fine. Look like we said that the sheep looked like how he looked when we sent him into the hole.
Minus a bop on the head, yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, and he stirred from that. But he started cutting into the sheep, and it looked like the sheep had been cooked. It was the flesh was hot underneath. When he started cutting through the sheep here, it looked like the sheep had been cooked.
Oh my!
Now these Basque guys, they're pretty good at butchering a sheep there, and they know their way around a sheep, and so they pretty much can butcher and they know what to expect when you open up a sheep.
Right.
So. We got the sheep on this table that we just eat at, and this guy is cutting the sheep open here, and he gets it so he can look inside and see the internal organs, like he's going to eviscerate the sheep.
Right.
Except they're not what we expected.
What do you mean?
It looks like there was gel in the cavity there, and something that looked like this huge tumor. And almost taking up the entire length of the body cavity.
Oh, Mel!
I mean, it's pretty hideous.
Oh God!
I'm getting kind of sick. I get kind of sick thinking about this thing too. But I was getting kind of sick when I was there, so I wasn't as close to all of this as I would want to be if I was a scientific observer. But there's this huge tumor taking up most of where the internal organs would be, so forth, the heart, the lungs, with whatever parts the sheep comes with, they weren't there.
And what are these Basque guys who are doing this saying at this point?
Well, some of them are muttering plenty of expletives over here, and they're freaked out there. And I remember saying, "See, I told you didn't want to go into that hole." And, the guy's good with a knife here, and he kind of is able to get the tumor out of this thing here.
Yeah.
And I say it's about as big as the sheep's cavity. I don't know, 2 feet
long.
In other words, the tumor was almost
Looked like
taking
a
up
tumor.
the entire inside of the. Oh, ugh.
Okay, so you got this tumor, and we could see that the tumor had some movement to it.
What?
Yes, we had movement to it.
Yeah.
And and the thing was alive, but it was connected to the tumor, like with this umbilical cord.
Holy mackerel, Mel.
And we could see the seal moving his eyes, and it was, I'm calling it a seal, okay, but I have no idea what the heck this thing is, okay? I'm calling it a seal. But it's opening its eyes, it's closing it, the flippers are moving, it's still connected to its tumor there. And then we noticed, and I noticed, that it seemed to be studying us. It seemed to be looking at us. That was the feeling I got. It seemed to be regarding us. You know, I got the seal, and he's on the ground. He waddles around a little bit in the direction of the hole, and then he just sort of is watching us some more, and we're sort of kind of at a safe distance, but we kind of encroach upon a little bit there, and so it's up there, and then it moves around. I don't know how. Maybe an hour. He's on it
Is on the ledge.
The collar. It looks at us. It actually nodded at us. It made like a slow nod. And he turned around and went back into the hole. You know, I got to tell you, I'm not selling a book.
Obviously.
I don't have a newsletter.
Right.
There are no Mel's Hole T-shirts, Mel's Hole.
Not that you produced anyway. I think.
Well, nothing that I have done. There are no Mel's Hole diaper pails or anything like that. I mean, to me,
Mel's Hole diaper pail. Who thought that one up?
Well, I mean, you know, they will commercialize everything in the world, and I have no part of this. This has been just an extraordinary ride for me. Okay, it's been like nothing I could have ever imagined in anyone's life. To go where I've been, to be where I was, to go up, to go down, to be in the presence of such an amazing thing. And my only goal is to leave a permanent record of what happened.